How's it going, everybody? Ryan Dieger here, and today we're going to be showing you how to make your own pre-made transition track using Ableton Live. Now, what's a transition track? It's a track that has tempo changes built right into the track. So this can be really useful for transitioning between different BPMs or different genres. So what are you going to need? You're going to need a copy of Ableton Live 8 or Live 9 Standard. If you don't have that, you can download a 30-day demo from Ableton's website. You're also going to need some drum loops. If you don't have any, we're going to provide some at the end of the tutorial for you. So let's get into it. All right, so you've got Ableton downloaded, you've got it open, and now you're ready to take your first baby step into production. So once you've got it open, the song that we're going to be working with today is Bubble Butt by Diplo. Once you've got your track loaded up in the session view here, the first thing we need to do is warp the track. And warping it will make sure that it stays synced up with Ableton's master tempo here, no matter what tempo we have it at. So if you double click on the clip, you can see that Ableton has already added a bunch of warp markers here. Now with electronic music, this isn't necessary to have all these warp markers, since electronic music is typically fixed to a grid anyways. So we can actually get rid of all these by highlighting the clip, hitting Command A, pressing delete, and now what we need to do, very similar to Traktor, we just need to find the first downbeat and place a warp marker there, and then set it to 1.1. So if we play this track, we can see at this point here is our first major downbeat. You'll notice that if you hover your mouse over there, there's a warp marker that's kind of showing up. To get that to show up, you just double click. And since we deleted all those clips, or all those warp markers, Ableton's always going to leave one behind. So we need to just delete that last one. And now let's just hear if the track's in time. If we skip all the way to the end, that's the best way to find out. So you can hear that it's not in time, and the reason for this is because this warp marker is at 97.11. Ableton will sometimes get the tempo wrong. I like to load songs into Traktor, and I can see that it's at 97. So if I go back to this warp marker here, click on it, I can go in and type the correct tempo. If I scroll to the very end of the song, I can hear that it's locked in time. So now that we've got that figured out, we can go to the next part, which is slicing our track. Slicing tracks is really easy in Ableton. All you have to do is highlight the section that you want to chop into slices. So you can hit Command L to loop this section here. And once you've got it looped, you can right click on it. You're going to see this option, Slice to New MIDI Track. You click on that, and we're going to be slicing it into quarter notes here. So that's basically going to give us a slice for each beat of the loop, and we're just going to press OK. And now Ableton's opened up a new MIDI rack with our loop chopped into slices. So now we're going to load an arpeggiator onto our MIDI rack here. So you just go to MIDI Effects, go to Arpeggiator, and drag it onto the MIDI rack. So what the arpeggiator is going to do is keep repeating these slices at these quantized values here. So if we have it at a 16th, it's going to play them at a 16th note rate. And the cool thing is that this is synced to the master tempo. So if we bump this all the way up to 125, which is the tempo we're going to work at, you can hear that it's playing those slices even faster. All right, so now that we've got our track sliced into a MIDI rack and we've got an arpeggiator on it, we can now record a loop that we can use for our transition. So all you have to do is go to the session view here and click record. Make sure the track is armed. Click record. It's going to count in. So we just need something, short and sweet. Now to hear how it sounds, we can throw it behind a drum loop. If you have something like Machine, you can also sequence drums using Machine. All right, so once you've got a loop that you like, we can now start to work on our arrangement. So what we're going to do is drag our clips into the arrangement view. You can highlight both by holding Command and clicking on both clips, then holding your mouse and pressing Tab and dragging over into our arrangement view. And we're going to go with a pretty simple arrangement here. We're going to start off with 4 bars of drums. This makes it really easy for transitions. And then we're going to introduce our MIDI clip with the drums as well. And then we're going to have another 4 bars of our MIDI clip, and this is where our transition is going to take place. And then we're also going to add a crash effects for emphasis here. And what we can also do is we can duplicate this by holding Command D. And then we're going to click on this clip, and we're going to reverse it so that we get this kind of reverse white noise build up into our original track. And then we just need to add our original track. Now we also need to program in our automation so that the tempo will transition down automatically. So what you need to do is you need to go to your master track down here, and you need to select song, tempo in the automation lane. And I've already changed this to 125 and 99. You just need to type in those values. And this is where we want our transition to start as soon as this crash hits, and then double click and add in another point on our automation lane. We're going to drag it down to 99s. When the track hits this point, it's going to start to gradually transition down. So we'll just demonstrate that really quick. So another thing that you might want to experiment with automating is the arpeggiator rate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to automate the arpeggiator to go from 1/16 to 1/8. So to do that, we just need to select our synced rate in the automation lane, and then we need to double click to add a breakpoint at that middle point, and then double click to add another breakpoint, move it up and just drag it back to this middle point. So now let's hear how this sounds. All right, so once you've got your arrangement and automation all dialed in, all that's left to do is to export the track. So to do that, we just need to click in our window here and hit Command A to highlight all of our tracks here. We'll go to File and Export Audio and Video. And we're going to render our master track. We're going to set it to .wav file. You can convert it to an MP3 after using a program like iTunes. All these other settings are good, so now we just need to go to Export. And I've already named this Bubble Butt 125 to 90 BPM transition. We'll hit Save on the desktop. And once this track is done rendering, you can now throw it into a program like Traktor or Serato and use it to help you transition between different BPMs or different genres. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial on how to make your own pre-made transition tracks using Ableton Live. As I said earlier in the tutorial, we're going to be giving away some drum loops that you can use to try out for yourself. And we're also going to be including the Ableton project file so that you can download it, open it up, and see for yourself how everything works and take your time learning how it all goes together. And whether you realize it or not, you also just took your first step into production. So for more DJ tips and tricks on Ableton, keep an eye on djtechtools.com.